when you think of depression, people think you're in bed, you're crying, you're not doing things. But no one thinks about the flip side of depression, which is not sad, not weepy, but lacking joy. And anhedonia is that scientific term that's been around for 200 years, but no one knows about it. And many of us experience it. Many of us feel meh, blah, things don't excite us anymore. But we don't think that that's a symptom of depression. In fact, a lot of people don't know that you don't have to be sad to be depressed. By definition, you can have all those symptoms and anhedonia without being sad, and you still meet criteria for depression. But we're trained to think that depression only looks one way. I'm here to tell you that it doesn't look sad. Sometimes it just feels nothing. And if you can recognize that in yourself, then you can get the support that you need. But if no one tells you about it, then you think that's just life. But that's not life. We were built with the DNA for joy. We were built with that. That's why we have dopamine in our brains. But many of us have forgotten how to access that joy. So we end up with anhedonia.
I want to definitely talk more about anhedonia because it's something that I've been experiencing for quite some time now, and I didn't know what it was
Mhm.
until I read your book.
Mhm.
And it had been coming up actually a lot recently, maybe over the past month or so, where I would continuously ask people, well, what's bringing you joy? What's making you feel joyful? And I didn't have an answer. It was
Mm.
like, I go to therapy and my therapist would constantly be asking me, what am I doing that's bringing me joy? And I'm like, girl, I don't know. I'm not feeling it.
Mm.
My audience as a content creator, the number one question that everybody likes to ask is like, what's bringing you joy? Come on the podcast and talk about what's bringing you joy. And I'm like, you guys, I don't know the last
Mm.
time I felt it. So as I was reading your book, it felt kind of validating of, okay, now I understand why this is happening. So for those of us who are feeling that way, what are some things we can start doing to reclaim those feelings of joy?
Anhedonia can be caused by a lot of things.
Mhm.
Many of us, if we don't process our pain and our trauma and we cope by pushing things down,
Mhm.
not dealing with it, eventually it's hard to even feel because our go to is, I'll deal with it later, I'll push it down, I'll process it later, but then we end up feeling nothing. But for others, it could be that we aren't accessing joy because we're so busy, you know? And so there was a recent study that showed that adults who were on their devices with the smartphone capacity, like able to go online, able to be on socials, when you took those devices away from them for 2 weeks, it was almost as if you were treating them with an antidepressant because their joy points went up.
Wow.
And in research, when we add up happiness and we measure happiness, we're adding up points of joy like if you're hungry and you eat and you savor it,